So hey everybody, what's going on? Look, my name is Terry. Hope you guys and gals are all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. And yes, this is video for my iPhone 14 Pro Max because I'm actually going to explain to you all how I have my Sony A7 IV hooked up to my PC. I had a lot of people ask me about it all over on stream, and they're like, hey, do you have a capture card or anything like that? No, I don't. I did buy a cheap one. I don't recommend it, so I just have this thing hooked up to my computer via the USB Type-C cable. And yeah, don't get me wrong, it is limited to only 1080p 60, but in my opinion, I think it looks really good. So yeah, this is what it looks like. All right, so obviously I gotta dust this thing off. Anyway, folks, here's my Sony A7 IV. Totally not necessary, but this thing is my, work camera as well. So I try to keep this thing cool whenever it's running for hours on end streaming, but it never gets hot or anything. It's just a little precaution that I like to do for my own peace of mind. But yeah, no capture card, just the USB-C into the back of my PC back there, and the USB-C port on the back of my motherboard. And that's pretty much it, it really is. So how do you add it as a source inside of OBS Studio? I'm glad you asked. All right, so now that everything is set up here, how do I actually add this to my scene here via my USB-C and OBS Studio? Well, you want to add it as a video capture device, and it acts like a webcam, just plug and play, right? So you want to go over here, you want to go to the little plus sign here, you want to click on add a video capture device, and I'm just going to call this here a camera, and it's not going to work because it's already being captured right here, but it's going to just show up, and it's the A7iv right there. And then after you add that, you want to go ahead and set a custom resolution to make sure everything works correctly. Like for mine, I have mine set to 1920 by 1080. I have it set to 30 frames per second because that is what I have it set to in camera for USB output. Now, this camera actually can do 1080p 60, but for a face cam like this, I just keep it at 30 because to me, it doesn't really matter. Video format, I just keep this here on NV12. For color space, I set it to default. And for the color range, I also set that to default as well. Now for buffering, this is going to vary system by system, but on all of my stuff, I prefer to have mine set to disabled. But for everything else, I just leave it as the way it is and I hit OK, and then it looks like this here on screen. Now, as you will notice here though, okay, folks, where is my big camera? There we go, yeah. So as you will notice here, this footage is only 1080p. But the thing you have to remember though, okay, is that the A7 IV, it is a full frame sensor in this camera. So 1080p from this type of camera will look way better than 1080p from a different camera, like a older APS-C camera or even some older full frame cameras, okay? The sensor in this camera is absolutely fantastic. I'm still getting that blurry, nice depth of field from my Samyang 24mm f1.8 lens, which by the way, it's being ran wide open here at f1.8. And what's cool about it here too, folks, is that normally whenever you have this camera via HDMI out, you can actually use the picture profiles built into the camera and apply a LUT to however you want it to look inside of OBS Studio. Like if I was using this via the HDMI out, I could actually have, S-Log coming out of the HDMI. I could have S-Cinetone, but as you will see right here, the picture profile is essentially no picture profile, and this is the way it looks straight out of camera. Matter of fact, even the white balance is set to auto white balance. So like, I think it looks really good. And again, this is only 1080p, but it's such a sharp 1080p after the compression being sent to Twitch, Kick, wherever it might be. And besides, your webcam is going to be like this big anyway, people aren't going to notice at all. And the good news too is that whenever I actually do these kind of local recordings like this here for you all, I actually upscale them to 1440p. And even with an upscale, this camera through USB-C still looks ridiculously sharp. And the good news too, folks, is that the instructions that I just laid out for you on how to add a camera like this via USB-C to OBS Studio, this will work with any camera that will allow you to use it as a webcam via USB-C. So it could be the Sony A7 IV and basically any Sony mirrorless camera released in the last, I would say, 1 to 2 years. I know Canon's got a few out there as well. I believe the Panasonic Lumix, the S5 II can also be used as a webcam via plug and play with the USB cable. The only thing I will say is that make sure that the USB-C cable you are using is rated for the higher end for speeds, so that way there you can actually get all of the resolution options available over USB. Now, the USB cable I'm using here, it's just a basic one from Amazon, nothing fancy whatsoever. It is a 10 gig cable, USB-C. That's literally all it is. But I have options for 1080p 30, 1080p 60, and 4K 15. Yeah, 4K 15 frames per second. I don't recommend that. I think it looks dumb in my opinion. I really do, because it's all choppy and crap. Again, 15 frames per second, right? And you can get a capture card like the Elgato Camlink 4K, or I got this cheap one, the EasyCap Camlink 4K. I don't recommend this. I know a lot of YouTubers recommend it. Maybe I just got a dud, but the way my camera looks at 4K, like the 1080p out of this right now via USB-C, even with that little bit of USB compression, looks better than the full resolution 4K coming out of this thing. Again, maybe I just got a dud. I don't know, but this here, no good for me. I don't like it. And to power this thing, you actually can use the battery. Like I have two batteries here, right? I have two batteries for my A7 IV, and clearly they're not in the camera. So how am I powering this? Now, you can't power this over USB. You cannot power, but what you can do is you can keep the battery inside of it, and you could have it charge the battery via USB-C while it's also sending data. Now, it's not going to be a full charge. It's going to be more of like a trickle charge. So you might be able to go a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours with the camera on like this here on battery. But you will notice that eventually the battery will start to drain, because again, it is a trickle charge, not a full-on full wattage charge. Know what I mean? But what I recommend you all do is you go out and buy a dummy battery for your camera that you could just plug into the wall, and you can have unlimited power, keep this thing going for as long as you would like. But if you're on a Sony camera, and I'm sure that other mirrorless cameras in the same kind of category have the same option in the settings somewhere, if you are using the dummy battery, I would recommend that you go inside to your camera settings and you disable the charge over USB option, so that way there you're not trying to charge a fake battery, because it literally won't do anything. But yeah, you know, folks, for real, it's that simple to hook up any mirrorless camera via USB-C to OBS Studio. You know, it's so funny because I was so dead set on getting a capture card for this to get the full fat 4K resolution from the sensor. But looking at it here in OBS, looking at it on YouTube, looking at it in Resolve on stream, wherever it might be, this 1080p is sharp as heck. And I think it looks really good. And for me, especially for right now, I think it gets the job done. But hey, what do y'all think? Do me a favor, if you want to see more tutorials like this here, or just content like this here in general on the channel, do me a huge favor, get subscribed, get the video liked. I would greatly appreciate it. But until next time, folks, again, thanks for coming by. My name's Terry, and I'll catch you guys and gals next time.